Good day and welcome to You Talk. I'm your host, Ryan Funk. We highlight stories of individuals across Canada and organizations within this country. We talk with people about culture, history, science, and social issues. We can learn a lot from the past, taking historical teachings and lessons and applying them to modern life. Rena Sector Elbaze is the Director of Engagement and Education at Congregation Shaarey Zedek, the largest conservative synagogue in Winnipeg and potentially Western Canada. She looks over helping people get involved in synagogue life or lessons for those not connected to Judaism.
I am Rena Sector Elbaze. I'm the Director of Engagement and Education at Congregation Shaarey Zedek. We are a conservative synagogue in Winnipeg. We're probably the biggest conservative synagogue in Western Canada. And I look after getting people involved in synagogue life and often reaching out to people who have not been connected to synagogue life or to Judaism. So I try to make things very accessible and create educational programming that is relevant to where they are in their lives.
So maybe we should just touch on right there. What exactly is a conservative synagogue? How do they kind of differ from
there are,
from
let's say
each other?
We could say four. I mean, there's a lot of different denominations in Judaism. There's four major ones. There's Orthodox and Modern Orthodox, which are very traditional and they do not deviate in any way from Jewish law, which is called halacha. We have Chabad, which follows the Lubavitcher rabbis' teaching, and they're located here in Winnipeg, and they do some wonderful programming. And we have Adas Yeshur and Herzliya Synagogue, which is Modern Orthodox. Then we have Shaarey Zedek, and we also have Eitz Chaim, which is in the north end of the city, and we are both conservative synagogues. And we have a Reform synagogue, which is Temple Shalom. And what's really nice is that we are all able to work together and cooperate on, sometimes we do panels with the different rabbis and we talk about the different viewpoints of the different movements on particular subjects. But there's a lot of cooperation and respect, which is really nice. And there's a rabbis' council where all of the rabbis meet and they talk about different services that the religious component of the Jewish community can provide.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that's also something important to touch on. Maybe because when people think of Judaism, there's that religious aspect of it, but there's also like a cultural aspect. What is it about Judaism that's both a culture and a religion? Maybe that's something people might be a little confused on.
It's a good opportunity to touch on that. So we're considered a people, the Am Israel, the Jewish people. So no matter what degree of religious practice you have, it's a cultural heritage, and it's based on the different festivals that we celebrate during the calendar year and life cycle events. We're very connected to the seasons. And because originally we were a people with a land and we were connected very much to agriculture, a lot of our holidays revolve around the harvest. And in ancient times, they would bring the fruit of the harvest up to the temple 3 times a year. So, for example, at the holiday of Sukkot, where we build those little huts outside, which is very comparable to Thanksgiving. Then we have Passover, which many people have heard about. That is also a time where there's a harvest, and Shavuot, which is a holiday that's coming up next week. Where the people would go up to the temple and they would bring the fruit of their harvest. Then we have other holidays like Hanukkah, which coincides often with the Christmas season. But that was more of a historical commemoration than an agricultural holiday. So it's a combination of commemorations and holidays that are connected to the seasons and to agriculture. So no matter what level of religious practice, and maybe no practice at all, you still feel connected to the peoplehood of it. And there's also a feeling that we're responsible for each other and helping each other out. So there's a lot of social action groups and services available for people who are less fortunate in the community. So we try to look out for each other. That's sort of in a nutshell.
And that's where your job comes in, helping, educate people about, the Jewish people. I guess just why is it important, for someone in your position to, continue that education?
Education is important because it's important for people to know where they come from, to understand the past, but it's also important to impart values and skills that could help people live a better life and to get along better. So, for example, I have been offering courses on time management, self-care, personal branding, and I combine modern social sciences and Jewish values because we have ancient teachings that are there to help people think about their behavior and think about how they relate to others and improve their relationships. We have all the tools there, and people don't always realize that in this ancient culture, we have tools that are actually quite modern. So I'm doing a session coming up called Basic Judaism. It's a crash course, a 5-week crash course, open to anybody. You don't have to be Jewish. You might just be curious about what the basic tenets of Judaism are. And we're opening it up to everybody. It's going to be online. And for some people, it's a refresher. And for some people, they don't know. So people come to these sessions. We do it on Zoom. Everybody has the opportunity to ask questions, and any question is a good question. So I don't want people to, to be shy. And we get a lot of Winnipeggers, but some of the classes I've been doing, I have a girl from Ramsgate, England. I have somebody in Kitchener, Ontario, somebody in South America. And they all come and they ask questions and they participate. I've been doing a course in Hebrew reading to learn to read the Hebrew alphabet. And many of the people who've come to the course, and we started with a 5-week course, they knew no Hebrew in the beginning. And by the end of the course, they're reading full sentences. They are able to understand a little bit. For some people, they like to follow the prayer service, which is in Hebrew, but they couldn't do it in the Hebrew. And being able to do it in the Hebrew added a whole new dimension. So they were coming to the prayer service, since childhood, but they couldn't read. So after 5 weeks, 5 sessions, people were able to read. And again, it's open to anybody. It's free of charge. And you don't have to be Jewish. You just, bring your interest and curiosity.
So you mentioned it a little bit about, these people who have been coming to the synagogue for years, wanting to learn Hebrew so they could participate and feel that kind of emotional closeness to kind of the practice there. What kind of people come to these classes, and who is it, like students of history, religious individuals? Who's all coming here? Who's all coming and being attracted to these kind of programs?
So especially now that it's online. So a lot of these classes that I've been giving, it's over the lunch hour. So people who work, they'll take a lunch break, and it just fits perfectly into their lunch break. But I also have a lot of people who are retired. I have young adults. It's a real mix. So I have professionals, retirees. I have people who are not religious at all, but who are just curious. I have some people who are from other religions who just want to know more because they sort of know, or they think they know, but they want to come and ask questions in an environment where, it's non-judgmental and they can ask and feel comfortable. So it's actually opened up a lot more possibilities for people that I'm able to do these classes online. For example, the Hebrew class that I give over the lunch hour, I was getting in person, anywhere between 10 and 12 students. Now that I'm doing it online, I have to cut it off at 30 because it's just too much. And probably in the future, when we can meet again in person, I would offer it in person with a virtual component. People could still tune in at their leisure.
Yeah, that hybrid model.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I was just going to ask that. How do you feel the online version has been going? Yeah, you're getting more people, but how do you feel the engagement is compared to what in person was?
Obviously, in person offers an opportunity for the people to connect between each other. So, that it's a little bit more difficult, and they like to meet and greet. It's like an outing, an activity. Yet I feel we've been able to capture that with these online classes. And a lot of the people, they come every week. They look forward to this as an opportunity to meet and greet. And that's why I don't want to do more than 30 people, because we can fit 30 faces on the screen.
Yeah, any more than that, it just becomes a jumble.
Yeah, like they can see each other. The online component is good because it allows me the possibility of doing these really great slides and these amazing visual presentations, and they can really follow the whole thought process online. The only thing that's difficult is, like with a language class, I'll say the sentence and then they have to repeat, and it's like a cacophony, as they'd say in French, like all these voices. And then a couple of times I've tried to teach them a Hebrew song, and we can't all sing at once because it's a big mess. So people have to mute themselves. So sometimes it feels lonely because you don't hear the other voices singing the songs.
So there's both pros and cons.
Yeah. Yeah. But the online has given us a lot of exposure, which we wouldn't have had.
Yeah, I've heard that from a lot of organizations like Festival. They were able to, reach way more people than they would normally of just, having people come in. And they're also going to be hoping to kind of follow that hybrid model moving forward, at least having some of their content online. But of course, in person, there's that whole other dynamic, just that closeness and personability that unfortunately you can't get online.
No, like one of the things that brings us together is the food component. So we've tried to do some things that people could still feel that, because we have a catering service, and the kosher catering that we offer is spectacular. So we've done these meal kits, like we did a Shabbat dinner, and it had an educational component and a musical component that people could order in advance, swing by on the Friday morning, pick up the food kit, and eat the same meal, everyone together, while the program was going on online. We did that for Passover as well, for the Seder. So it's not quite the same as coming in person and eating it together, but at least we were able to try to find some way to capture that side.
Yeah, that closeness and community.
Exactly.
And community. Yeah, that's definitely something I feel I've been missing out a lot on due to like this whole year that we've gone through during the pandemic. Just, that community meal.
Yeah, exactly. Like we celebrate this holiday called Purim. It's sort of like a Mardi Gras, and we usually have a big carnival. As a matter of fact, just before we closed down at the beginning of the pandemic, we had this carnival with 550 people. And we went from that, and with all of the carnival aspect and the face painting, and to nothing. So that kind of thing, hard to reproduce that emotion and that all of the senses with the smell of the carnival food and the game booths and the bouncers, like you just can't do that.
Yeah, and the sound of the people talking in the background, like you can't quite understand any of the conversations happening, but you just kind of get that feeling. It's going to be quite an exciting moment once we can have these, massive festivals and gatherings again. it's going to feel great.
It's interesting in that class I was telling you about, the Hebrew class. So every time the class coincides with a Jewish festival or holiday, I try to mark it in some way. And the students, the day we did the class for Purim, which is, like I said, the Mardi Gras, everybody came to the Zoom in a funny mask. I'm not talking about like a mouth mask, but like or a funny hat. And they really got into the spirit, and it was really uplifting because even though we weren't there in person, they were making an effort to show their face and do something that was in the spirit of the holiday. And it felt like we had created this group online, even though we had actually met in person.
Yeah, definitely. You through the pandemic, like there's moments where you create these individual communities that might have not existed beforehand.
Yeah, and that's how I feel about this group. But and a lot of the people who were in the Hebrew class have signed up for the basic Judaism class, which is, I think they just want to keep meeting. Like it's an opportunity to not be so alone and do something different.
So how about you talk a little bit more about this this crash course in basic Judaism with me? It comes out or you're having it on May 25th?
Yes. So there's 5 sessions starting May 25th. And the course was developed by an organization that it's a North American organization, National Jewish Outreach Program or Project. I can't remember what the P was, this project or program. And they develop all sorts of free courses, and they give us the curriculum for free, but then I'm free to deliver it as I see fit, and I'll create my own slides. And it talks about anything from belief in God to the Sabbath, like in the idea of it being an Earth Day or a day to unplug, to sexuality from a Jewish perspective. And it's kind of like a myth buster because a lot of people have preconceived notions, and it's an opportunity to find out what the main ideas are and how it can enrich your life. And you don't have to be religious to benefit from the concept of a day of unplugging. Just a day where you can be with your family and friends. And so we're going to talk about all these different concepts. What is the concept of monotheism? What is it all about? So each session will deal with one of these main principles. And there'll be the presentation side, and then there'll be questions and answers, and people will be able to ask anything they want, non-judgmental atmosphere, and to learn more.
That's super cool. So where can people, for all these classes, where can people find out more information, and how do they sign up? You mentioned it was free of charge?
Yes, it's free of charge. Anybody can join. You can go to the Shaarey Zedek website. So it's SZ for Shaarey Zedek, Winnipeg.ca. And all of the courses are listed. And now we have an online registration process. So you just click on the link and you sign up, and you get a link for the Zoom session. And that's, I also have something that I'm doing for young adults that's going to celebrate Jerusalem on the 10th of May. So it's on Monday evening. And that's why in my little background, I put a picture of Jerusalem, these ancient stones. What I'm going to be doing is I have a special guest, Haskell Greenfield, who is the chair of the Judaic Studies department, and he's a professor of anthropology, and he's done a lot of digs in Israel. He has this whole research project going on. So he's going to talk about the ancient aspect of Jerusalem. And my daughter, who lives in Jerusalem with her husband, they have gone out and filmed all sorts of modern and vibrant, youthful things that are happening in Jerusalem. So we're going to do a contrast of the ancient and the modern. And it'll just be an opportunity for young adults to get together and visit, because young adults, especially single young adults these days, are really isolated. So it's going to be a forum for an online schmooze, schmooze session, if you like. Yeah, and that you can also just register right on our website and Facebook as well. I think you can access the registration through Facebook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're mentioning just kind of learning, from the past into modern life, and yeah, there's a lot we can learn from the Jewish peoples. Peoples who have had to overcome adversity basically through their entire history.
Yeah, and I guess the most important thing is to be resilient. We get up and we keep going. I found this interesting quote the other day. There was a foremost Jewish thinker, the Lord Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, who passed away this year, sadly. But he said something that I found very meaningful in talking about the concept of leadership. And in Hebrew, the word for leader is manhig. And the root, because Hebrew has, when I teach Hebrew, I tell people every word in Hebrew has a 3-letter root. And the root of the word manhig, which is leader, means behavior. So one of the messages that he said was that Jonathan Sacks said was that leadership isn't about your degrees and your resume. It's about your behavior. And that piece of teaching I thought was worth transmitting. I thought that was very special. And that's the kind of stuff we do in the classes.
I mean, they sound like a lot of fun.
It is fun. I have a women's group too that I'm doing June 10th, and we're talking about neurolinguistic programming, which is a modern way of trying to be your best self. And the session title is Walk the Talk of Success. And it'll also be like a networking session and learning some ancient and some modern tricks to being your best self. So that's also going to be advertised on our website and people can sign up for it.
Fantastic. So it sounds like there's a lot of exciting things in the near and kind of further down the path. Is there any other like projects or classes that are, planned to come out heading forward?
Every week we read a section of the Torah, the Bible, and it's different stories and there's different messages we can learn. And every Thursday at noon hour, you can go on YouTube or to our Facebook page and you can watch the session. You don't even have to sign up. You can just watch it live.
Yeah. So this comes out every Thursday?
Thursday. Yeah. And there's another project that the rabbis from all of the different synagogues, from all the denominations are working on. And it's called Machloket Matters. It's about how to deal with conflict from a Jewish perspective. And each week they take a different topic in conflict resolution, and they speak about what are the different teachings about how to deal with conflict management. And that's something that's ongoing. And every week they give different pointers, and we look at a modern case study and ancient examples and what was done in the past, and we try to analyze it.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Is there a little piece of that conflict resolution that you can share with us right now? Maybe just, tensions are high. I mean, we're kind of getting out. What's the best way for, maybe from a historical kind of meshed with a modern of, dealing with conflict?
Well, one of the lessons, one of the teachings that it's like a thread that goes through all the sessions is that there are always many opinions. They say that there's 49 opinions for and 49 opinions against any particular debate. And you have to be able to listen to all of the opinions, even though you don't agree with them, but to try to understand where the opinion is coming from. Because each person has their own frame of reference and their own perspective on the particular topic. And if you're able to approach that particular question where you're respecting the opinion of the person, the adversary, if you like, and you try to put yourself in their shoes, you have you have an opportunity to be successful. But what they say is that it always takes two to tango. Like, you have to be able to hear the other person out, and there has to be a willingness to listen. I think that was sort of the overlying message that came out of these sessions. We have one more to go next week. It's about the topic of fake news or uncovering the truth. So I'm excited to hear what they're going to say about that one.
Interested in learning more about Congregation Shaarey Zedek and taking part in some lessons? Visit their website at szwinnipeg.ca. If you have any stories you'd like us to share or communities we should highlight, leave a comment on our social media or reach out to us on our website. I'm Ryan Funk, this was U Talk, and have yourself a good one.